Yeah, I'm going to talk about this Torchwood story, but I need to talk a little bit more about the previous Torchwood story first, so hang with me for a bit. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. So, before I moved on to The Runaway Bride and Invasion of the Bane, the last Torchwood story I saw aired on Christmas Eve of 2006, and it was Combat. And I specifically mentioned that day when I watched it how it was actually written by Noel Clarke, and thus the first story in the Doctor Who universe that was written by an actor who had played a major character in the series. And it was also the first televised story in Doctor Who story written by a person of color. And so on both counts, it was a pretty remarkable episode. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then, the day after I recorded that video, the day after I watched Combat, is when the news broke that Noel Clarke had had his BAFTA Lifetime Achievement Award withdrawn by BAFTA because of credible allegations of sexual impropriety. Basically, at least 20 women had come forward and claimed various instances of Clarke taking advantage of them or even molesting them on the sets and in the audition rooms of the movies and television programs that he had written and produced. And when I first saw the headline, I hoped that I would read it and it would turn out to be a bunch of spurious, unfounded allegations. And the more I read, the more I believe that the allegations are true. They're too long-standing and consistent and fit too well with the undeniable facts. Among other things, Noel Clarke, as a writer, had a tendency to write steamy sex scenes between himself and attractive female co-stars, which is just kind of gross on its face. And he also has a history of using his stature in the acting and filming community in order to coerce younger, newer female actors into compromising positions. And it's all just gross and unfortunate, and I feel horrible. But there we are. So it's worth noted that at this point these are, of course, all allegations, and that is what it is. It's worth noting that since that day, another at least 6 more women have come forward with credible allegations, and Noel Clarke is in full-on defensive mode. And so, dang it. I mean, why is it so hard to just be a decent human being? I don't know. Anyway, moving on to today's Torchwood story, Captain Jack Harkness. It's a really interesting story and well-written, well-paced, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly kind of story that is set in alternating time periods between Christmas Eve 1941, just before the Cardiff Blitz, and then modern-day 2006 Cardiff, with Jack Harkness and Toshiko having been pulled back through some kind of time rift into 1941, and the ongoing efforts between them and the current-day Torchwood crew to get them back to their regular timeline. And with the mysterious and evil Billis Manger pulling the strings to coordinate everything happening, and he is the key figure in tomorrow's season finale. More interestingly, this story features the character of the actual Captain Jack Harkness, the man whose life Jack assumed during his original conman role in 1941, trying to sell off an alien artifact before he fell in with the Doctor and Rose. And so it's an interesting story in which Jack comes face to face with the man whose life he stole, and a man who Jack knows is going to die the following day. The story also deepens the conflict between Yanto and Owen, and just has a lot of really interesting character work. I really, really enjoy this story. I arguably enjoy it more than the following episode, which is the big finale that pays off all of the plot threads that have been going on. It's another argument for just how strong Torchwood became in the second half of its first season. It took it a little bit of time to find its legs, and it took it some time for the writers to find a mode of writing that was mature without being needlessly prurient, and just doing really interesting plot lines. So yeah, a couple of big thumbs up for this story, and looking forward to tomorrow's big finale with the giant beast and the evil of Billis Manger, who is a grossly underused villain who needs to come back in the future, but I will talk about that tomorrow. And on that note, I'm going to call it a day and get on with my work. So I will see you tomorrow with the big season finale of the first season of Torchwood. See you tomorrow.